just how far can I walk with it? Hey, can you all hear me? Hey, folks in the back, people there, it would be really great if just a few more people would come up front, because it's lonely up here. It's lonely. I know it sounds like a crazy thing to do, but come up here. Come up here. I came all the way from fucking Los Angeles to come and talk to you, so please, just humor me or something. yeah. What this? Yeah. It's a super honor to be here. There's a handful of people here that I know. All right, if I'm going to stand back on the stage, come up here. Come up here. Come up here. And if you have one of those TVI things in your pocket, turn it on and record it and broadcast it to the universe. I'm serious. What is it? It's July 12th, 2025. I'm going to give a very different talk than I would have if I had gotten a good night's sleep last night. Yeah, I got stuck in Washington, D.C. I feel like I don't leave my home much these days because I have 4-year-old twins. But it was just like a kind of rude awakening, realizing God, we really are. This country's going down. It's becoming more of a third world country where all of a sudden the resources that we once had, we don't have anymore. So I want to talk to you about madness. All right, listen, if I'm going to stand up here and talk, I want you to respond to the shit that I'm saying, okay? So when I say I'm going to talk to you about madness, you make some noise. All right? Thank you. That's how this works. It's like a give and take kind of thing. I give and you give, and then we build something together. I had a great conversation with some folks in the back there. We were singing some old Meatloaf songs and Jefferson Airplane songs. There you go. There you go. Listen to that, man. So, my name is Sasha Altman de Brule, and when I was 18 years old, the police found me walking on the subway tracks in New York City, and I thought that the world was about to end and that I was being broadcast live on primetime television on all the channels. I thought there was microscopic transmitters implanted under my skin that were recording my thoughts for some top secret branch of the CIA. I hadn't slept in a really long time. The police, I walked through 3 stations. The police wrestled me to the ground. I ended up in a jail cell underground in the subway, and then I ended up in Bellevue Hospital in Manhattan, and then I spent 2.5 months in a public mental health psych ward. It was 1993. I'm 50 years old, by the way, so that was a long time ago. But in some ways, when we tell stories about our past, we can time travel back. And in some ways, we can take the things that we've learned now and in some ways change the past. I'm a therapist now, and I practice this model called internal family systems therapy. Has anyone ever heard of it? Okay, good. I'm so glad, because I think it's the future. I think that it's really important that we recognize that we can see ourselves as individuals, and that's a legit way to see ourselves, but we can also see ourselves as multiple. We have a whole internal family. And when our family's getting along, we're doing all right. And when our family's not getting along, it looks like we're crazy. We're having a hard time. The guy who founded Internal Family Systems is named Richard Schwartz, and he was a family therapist, a systemic family therapist. In the 1960s and 70s, there were a lot of competing ideas for what mental health and mental illness was, right? There was all kinds of really creative models, and there was all kinds of resistance movements. If you were to travel back to the early 1970s in the United States, it would look really different, politically, socially, economically. And I think it's really important to know that in 1980, there was a shift. In 1980, Ronald Reagan got elected president. That's the right response. Thank you. Louder, louder. Good, good. Ronald Reagan got elected president, and the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders was published, the 3rd edition. The thing about the DSM-3 was that the people who designed it had this very narrow view about the human condition. They were like, we're going to just observe what people have done, and then we're going to give them diagnoses based on it. And it was really convenient because all of a sudden, like all of this resistance and all of this cultural resistance and all these, that was like when One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest came out. People were like, psychiatry as a discipline was discredited publicly, and then they switched it. They flipped the script. They figured out how to do it. It took a lot of money, but they did it. It was a terrible idea. We're still living with it. We're still in it. I feel like we're at the tail end of it. I don't think that biopsychiatry is going to last much longer, personally, myself. Yeah. I don't think biopsychiatry is going to last much longer. There's these ideas in history, these kind of dominant ideas that seem like they're just the truth, and then that's how it is. And then you only realize later, oh, wait, actually, there was just like a couple of like powerful people that came up with this and then got everyone to go along with it. I mean, another one, if we're going to get political, is Zionism, right? I mean, like, yeah, listen, I'm a Jew. I'm like a proud Jew, okay? I'm a Jew from New York City, and I will like tell you all about it if you want to hear about like where my family comes from. But Zionism as a project was similar to biopsychiatry in some ways, because it was like a grand narrative. It was like, these people, it says in the Bible, these people need to live here, and so we're going to go there. And like all this time later, yeah, like biopsychiatry, it turns out it wasn't the best idea. It wasn't the best idea. And we're living with the after effects of it. But I am here to tell you something, and I'm totally fucking serious. Like I'm not joking at all, though you can laugh. I really think that we have the power to change things. I think that we have the power. I think when people get together, we can change things. A small group of people like this can have an enormous impact on the society, but you have to believe. You have to believe that you have the power to do something. Thank you. More, louder, come on. You have to believe that you can do it. Okay? How many people here ever remember your dreams? I want to see a show of hands. Only when I don't smoke weed. Yeah, exactly. Well, it's kind of like the psychosis thing for me. If I'm trying to talk to someone who's never had a psychotic episode, I say, it's kind of like, you stop sleeping and you start dreaming while you're awake. That's what psychosis is, The way that I think about it is that our dreams are actually really important. It's really important to pay attention to our dreams. Our dreams tell us all kinds of things. I write mine down, and actually, more recently, I've been just recording them. There's like amazing technology now. You can like record audio and have it translated immediately to text. Does anyone ever fuck with that? It's like that's like some Star Trek from the '80s shit that now it's here all of a sudden. But everyone's just kind of like sleepwalking around, and they don't realize how quickly things are changing. So our dreams are really important. There's our dreams at night, but then there's our waking dreams. I want to put forth an idea to you all, which is that if you really want something, if you really, really, really want something to happen, just keep focusing on it. Just keep focusing on it. And you know what? It's going to happen. Even if it doesn't happen in your lifetime, you'll come back around the next time around and you'll keep working on it. Okay? Like, we have to think like that. We have to think like that. Like, we're very powerful, actually. So I'm going to say something, and I want you to repeat it back to me, okay? It's a song. It's like an old punk rock song. It goes like this. I believe in me.
I believe in me.
I make my dreams real.
I make my dreams real.
I'll do it again. I believe in me.
I believe in me.
I make my dreams real.
I make my dreams real.
All right, so listen, I'm a therapist, and I work primarily with people diagnosed with schizophrenia and bipolar disorder. I'm diagnosed with bipolar disorder myself, so I'm proud of it, the same way I'm proud of being a Jew, whatever, it's an identity. And I think the thing is that one of the people who's been the most influential to me, he's been dead for a long time, his name was Carl Jung. So are people familiar with Carl Jung? That guy was really smart. Also, he was one of us. If you're a mad person, that dude was definitely mad. He spent months of it, years, psychotic. He had these visions. He wrote a whole book that was all just his visions. It's pretty trippy. Carl Jung had some ideas that I want to transmit to you. And then maybe you know them already, but I'm going to transmit them again, and I want them to get inside of you, okay? One of the basic ideas of Jungian thought is this idea that everyone has a shadow. Everyone has a shadow. And what's a shadow? The shadow is all the parts of ourselves that we don't acknowledge, that we don't identify with. They're all the parts that we're going, I'm talking to you right now, and I'm trying to be all cool up here, talking, doing my thing. But there's a shadow back there, the things that I don't identify with. What Carl Jung said was that if you can turn and face your shadow, and reckon with the things you need to reckon with, that's a process called individuation. That's what he called it, individuation. And if you can individuate, and what that means is kind of disavowing your pride and shame-based identifications, the things that you think, whatever. It's you got to get to know yourself. That's what it means, right? But if you can do that, that's how you become free. That's how you become free. You individuate. Now, here's the thing. Shadows also work in society. We have individual shadows, but there's also social shadows, society shadows. Now, who's the society shadows? Anyone? Yeah, there you go. There you go. It's the mad people. But it's all the oppressed people. It's all the people who are holding on to all the survivors, all the people who are holding on to all these visions, and they're being suppressed. They're not being let out. They're being put away in a box. They're being put in a closet somewhere. They're being locked up in prison. They're being put in a psych ward. They're being put in places where their voices can't come out. And that's the thing is, what we need to do, the way I see it, is we need to be able to understand, we need to allow the shadows of society to come through and really reckon with what's going on in the world right now. Okay, so in 2002, I was 27 years old, and I wrote a story in the San Francisco Bay Guardian. I was living there at the time. It was called The Bipolar World. And it was a story about my experience getting locked up. I got locked up a bunch of times, dramatically, walking on the subway tracks, punching out windows, bleeding all down my hands. I spent a month in LA County Jail, in the psych unit. I'm certifiably a crazy person, right? So I wrote the story about it. And it was all these people wrote back to me. And what happened in a short period of time was me and my friend Jax, who I met, who was one of the people, we started a website called the Icarus Project. And what we said was, rather than seeing ourselves as diseased and disordered, we see ourselves as having dangerous gifts, like the wings of Icarus. You know the myth, the ancient Greek myth? Yeah. So that's what we said. And Icarus grew, and it grew there was it ended up turning into this whole international thing, and we had an international network of peer support groups. We wrote this book called Navigating the Space Between Brilliance and Madness. We did all this stuff. And what I learned from that whole process was it's really amazing to get a bunch of mad people together, But it's also really hard because everybody comes with their trauma. Everybody comes along with all the hard stuff that they're dealing with. So I'm not going to talk for too much longer. It's like, thank you so much for letting me talk. It's such a pleasure. I was like, yeah. I think I mentioned this already. I have like little kids, and I'm not very social. I like do all my work on the screens. I spend a lot of time talking to people on screens. You know, when I was 18, I had this vision. I think I told you that the world was going to end. We were all going to be broadcast live on television. You know, at some point during the pandemic, I realized that it came true. Like, it felt like the world had ended, and we were all fucking talking to each other on Zoom or whatever, you know? And it still feels like that. It feels like we're living in this weird fucking cyberpunk dystopic reality that we didn't want or ask for. But I think we can make the best of it. I think we really can make the best of it. Okay, here's the part that, because I didn't sleep well last night, I'm gonna say. I was like, should I say this? I'm gonna say it. Because I don't get to stand up in front of people very much and talk. I'm really interested. When I was 18 years old, I read this academic article called Language, Thought, and Reality by Sapir and Whorf. It was about Hopi Indian conception of time. And it was basically about how, check this out, this is like deep. This is maybe the most interesting thing I'm going to say. In Hopi, traditional Hopi grammar structure, there's no past, present, or future. Okay? Different objects and people have different states of becoming. It's a completely different way of thinking about time. Okay? When I was 18 years old, it like sent me off the deep end or whatever. All these years later, I think, you know, time is not what it seems like it is. Time is definitely not what it seems like it is. There's the linear time that we're living in, but I think that there's a lot of different timelines. And I think it's really important to all of us that we find the right things from the right timelines and we bring them to this timeline. Because somehow we're still here. I think there's a lot of other timelines where we blew ourselves up. I really think so. Deep in my heart, I believe that that's what had, the reason that shit is so weird is because we split the atom and we blew ourselves up a million times over. But we're still here. We still have a chance. We still have a chance. You know, there's this old, I'm obsessed with the year 1977. I was born in 74, but 77 is the year that punk rock broke in New York and London and other places. And one of my favorite punk rock bands is this band called X-Ray Spex. Has anyone ever heard of them? Oh, good. All right. Yeah, so you know. Yeah, the singer of X-Ray Spex, her name was Polly Styrene, and she died a few years ago, but she was brilliant, and she was a teenager when she was in X-Ray Spex. And when I was 18 years old, okay, so here's the thing with Polly Styrene, they put out one record called Germ-Free Adolescence, and then she ended up losing her mind and joining the Hare Krishnas, and she was a Hare Krishna for many years. And then in 1993, when I was a freshman at Reed College in Portland, Oregon, Germ-Free Adolescence was reprinted, and I got a copy of it, and I brought it back to my my dorm room, and I listened to it, and I swear to you, as an 18-year-old, I was convinced that Polly Styrene was a time traveler traveling from 1977 to me in 1993 to tell me that the world was about to end and I had to save it. That's what happened. That was what sent me on my journey. If you try on the X-Ray Spex, and you start looking around, especially at I don't know, the kind of songs I listen to a lot of 80s pop music and punk rock music, because that's my generation or whatever. It's all about the end of the world. The world has already ended. It's already ended, and they're telling us that the world has already ended, and they're warning us. You know, you heard it from the crazy guy. You know, but I really believe it, and I think that in some ways, time is not linear. It's cyclical. It goes around and around and around, and I think that we have a really important role to play. I really, in the deepest of my heart, believe that we have an important role to play. Like the mad people have an important role to play in the salvation of the world. I'm going to tell you how it's going to go. This is let's check back in a year, okay? Let's check back in a year and see if what I'm saying stands up to time. I don't know how many people here have been messing around with AI. How many here have used ChatGPT and stuff? Ooh, yeah. But anyone have any weird experiences with it? Anyone? I think, all right. My dad was a Marxist, all right. He was beaten by nuns in Catholic school in Queens in the 1950s, and that turned him into a Marxist. And very basic, 101 Marxism is that capitalism is a stage. Capitalism is a stage that we go through, and the infrastructure needs to be developed so that we actually have stuff that will sustain people. And once it's developed, their idea was that there was going to be this what do they call it? Dictatorship of the proletariat, and then we were that didn't work out so great, right? But in some ways, it seemed like I can imagine the future. I think that if you look, like I said, I wasn't raised by religious people, but I think if you read the books, like that book that people walk around with, the different books, they all say the same thing. There's going to be a judgment day. There's going to be an end of the world, and then there's going to be a new world that comes afterwards. And I sincerely believe that the people who are the rebels and the freaks and the weirdos and the ones who've been stewarding the ideas all these years, the people who have been keeping the flames alive, they're going to play the role in flipping the script. And that's what I see coming. So, I know it's intense. It's intense. It's not light. And it's not the kind of thing you hear every day, I imagine, but it's not the kind of thing I'd ever thought I'd find myself saying. I'm going to leave you with this, quote from this band, The Avengers, who were a San Francisco 1977 punk band. You should go back and look at them. If you Google The Avengers, you won't find them. All you'll find is a bunch of Marvel comic stuff. But if you keep digging, maybe Avengers, punk rock, whatever, you'll find it. And you'll find that there was another teenage girl named Penelope Houston, who was the singer of The Avengers in 1977. And what she said was, we are the ones who bring the future. We are the ones who bury the past. A new species rise up from the ruins. We are the ones that were made to last. We are the one. Thank you. Now I'm going to go back to the hotel room to get some sleep, take some fucking psych drugs.